Well, I'm back at home. I've been traveling the country for the last month or so, actually really just the Pacific Northwest, but I know some of you gathered with me when I went live and in the RV from Colorado Springs a couple weeks ago, showing you some of the oils that we took with us on our journeys. And now I am back home with the normal Zoom backdrop that I've had for the last few years that you've seen and become accustomed to. And we're going to just kind of pick up where we left off with the Select 30 series spotlight. As you maybe recall, we've been going through about 3 or 4 oils a month that are all part of the Select 30 series. It's a collection of oils, kind of Young Living put them together as the most popular 30 oils that they have. And it comes in a little case, and you can actually buy this online on the website, or even better, you can use some of your loyalty rewards points to purchase them or get it for free. So in these oils, there's a lot of old tried and true ones that you're probably familiar with. And in some cases, there may be some that you aren't familiar with, but we're trying to take a few at a time and take a look at them and take a little deeper dive in them. So you can know how to use these oils. So today we're going to do lemon, oregano, Aromaease, and DiGize. Now, interestingly, when I was putting and slotting these all together, I put these 4 together because they have different uses, but especially the blends, Aromaease and DiGize, primarily are created for digestive support. But maybe you didn't know lemon and oregano can be used for those types of things too. So I hope to dive in with you and show you some of those things. And so let's start off with lemon. Lemon, of course, is a single oil. The extraction method is that it's cold pressed from the rind. It takes about 3,000 lemons to produce just 1 kilo of oil. So that kind of shows you how much one drop, how much power is in one drop, how much lemon. Because of that cold press method, it makes the oil photosensitive. So if you use lemon oil, you wouldn't want to go into the sun for maybe 6 or 8 hours and expose that particular area to the sun. So if you put it on your skin or on your face or somewhere, just make sure you're not immediately going out into the sun. You give it some time. And if you use it as a part of your like nighttime routines or whatever, you should be good by the next day. So maybe if it's something you want to use consistently, think about it that way. But the way that lemon, I was looking up some testimonials, and one of the ways that lemon oil was really beneficial to one particular person was she had this constant burping after meals, and especially like in the evening. And so she started drinking water with 2 to 3 drops of lemon oil in it, and found some relief from that burping, and consistent use doesn't have near the issue that she did at some time. So that's one way that you can think about lemon oil that maybe you didn't know. Historically, lemon oil has been widely used in skincare, but you didn't know that. Well, we've talked about it before, so maybe you did. To cleanse skin, reduce wrinkles, and combat any facial blemishes. It has, in the past, like historically, lemon peel specifically was used as an antiseptic, a diuretic, an eupeptic, a vascular stimulant, and a protector as a vitaminic. So that was something that historically, that's how lemon peel has been used over time. It's also used as a flavorant for cooking, for cleaning, and to treat scurvy, we know that, and a variety of other ailments. That vitamin C is essential in the production of what the bones need to prevent scurvy. Overall, it's a really good oil for supporting the immune system. We just talked being an immune stimulant, so helping your body to kick into gear. It's really great for skin support. It's really great we just talked about digestive support. And it's got a very calming, or it's really good for it's good for calming purposes as well. We often say focus and relax and calm when you diffuse citrus oils, that's sometimes the result you're going to get. It is, of course, lemon, lavender, and peppermint are the trio that we use for seasonal discomfort. So you can think about it like that. It's really good for helping with your vascular system, to support your vascular system. So you can think about that and however you want. Really good for veins and those kinds of things. So again, if we're putting it on our skin, we don't want to go out in the sun. So make sure you're not doing that in the summertime or in the sunny weather. Fragrant influences, it promotes clarity of thought and purpose with a fragrance that is invigorating, enhancing, and warming. So that's lemon, and its historically fragrant influences. My university study found that citrus fragrances boosted immunity, induced relaxation, and reduced depression. So you can, those are some of the ways that inhaling or diffusing or smelling lemon would be beneficial to you or anyone in your household. It's also one thing that we talk about often is it's really great for getting sticky things off of things, like if there's some sticky residue from stickers, that lemon peel gets it right off. It's really similar, like if you've ever smelled Goo Gone, which is the type of thing that you might buy at Home Depot or something like that. It's got, chemicals in it. It has a pretty citrusy smell. So it is using some of those citrus oil properties to do that. In fact, sap comes off really well with lemon oil. When we were out on our adventures, we always take our dog, and she laid around in some pine needles, or I don't know it wasn't obvious, but I guess the sap had dripped down onto the ground, because she wasn't laying in a bed of pine needles or anything, but she has some sap spots, and the way we get that out is with lemon oil. So think about that. There's lots of emotions associated with lemon. I'm going to just name them all. And if you resonate with any of these emotions, maybe start incorporating lemon into your diffusing routine, or taking a drop and putting it in your hand, taking some deep breaths or anything like that. I'm not going to go in some of the other ones, since there's less. I'll go into the other side of it and the way out and those kinds of things. But I'm just going to list the different emotions, since there's so many of them. And just think to yourself, is that an emotion I'm experiencing or have experienced? And then if so, do you know how now to incorporate lemon? Being left behind, entitlement, fear of detachment, feeling of emptiness, frustration, life being unreliable, regret or remorse, sadness, being stuck, or feeling suffocated. I think in that list that there's probably many of us who have experienced these things in even just the last few years. But if that's the case, let's get lemon in our diffusers, or put it on our diffuser necklaces, or whatever works best for you, and start working through some of those emotions and helping support our body on that way too. Okay, next up is going to be oregano. Many of you may be familiar with this. This is something that we have in our pantries and and even my neighbor growing up, her family she was originally from El Salvador, or not my neighbor growing up, my neighbor at my first house in Los Angeles, I'm sorry. The home we lived in LA, she was originally from El Salvador, and it was her mom would often use oregano. Anytime anybody started to get sick, she would put a whole tablespoon of oregano in a little pot of a small cup of water or something, and boil it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and basically make oregano tea from leaves. And it was especially common that her mother would do this if it was a stomach ailment or something. So that's just another way to think about stomach issues and ways that oils can do that. So that would have been the leaf of oregano, right? Like the herb itself. But we know that our oils are much more concentrated. It's steam distilled from the leaves. And really, if you're going to use oregano in any sort of cooking method, this is one that is just very strong. And you really want to start with just that toothpick swirl, where you put the toothpick on and then just swirl that into whatever you're trying to flavor, because this is a really strong really hot oil, and one that you might consider that it's something you always dilute. You always dilute with oregano because it is so strong and so hot. Historical data, it's listed in Hildegard's Medicine, and a compilation of early German medicines by highly regarded Benedictine herbalist Hildegard of Bingen. He was a forerunner in what in medicinal helps. And he lived from 1098 to 1179. So it was one that was frequently used. Because if you can imagine how strong it is, it also is really strong at defeating things that we don't want around. And that's about as FDA approved as I can offer. It is very, very supportive of the immune system. It's very supportive of helping your body kick into gear to fight things off. And it is just, as I was looking through the oil testimonials, I thought, I don't really reach for oregano as much as I probably should. And I should probably carry this one around a little more and use it with a little more frequency, because there were some really great testimonials shared. Its fragrant uses, it creates a feeling of security. So I'm not sure this is one I'd put on my like diffuser bracelet or necklace, because I feel like you'd walk around smelling like a pizza parlor, but it nonetheless, it has that fragrant influence. Maybe that's not even something that bothers you, so no problem. So because oregano is high in phenols, it may irritate the nasal membranes or skin if it's inhaled directly from the diffuser or the bottle, or applied neat. Like, I don't know, I've heard of a few people being reactive this way, where they just, even smelling it, the molecules create some sort of reaction because of the high phenol concentration. So just be aware, this is just one of those oils you just want to always dilute. Just for reference, it's found in MU Power, Inner Defense, and Orthosport massage oil. So those can give you some ideas of the types of things it can help with. Some of the testimonials, people used oregano oil, and this isn't one I would have thought of. I probably would have tended towards thieves or clove, but people were having mouth issues or a tooth problem. But if you think about what causes those tooth problems or those tooth difficulties or discomforts, the origin of those things, oregano is very supportive of helping. And so think about it as like 1 part oregano with 5 parts olive oil, or some people said like 3 drops of oregano and a teaspoon of a carrier oil. One particular person talked about consistent skin issues that they couldn't kind of get their hands around. And I'm not talking about eczema or anything like that. I'm just talking about other types of things that you might be looking at a big box store for some sort of treatment for, that they found really great aid in it. And they would basically created this 1:5 ratio of oregano with carrier oil, and they put 3 drops of that on their tongue every day, and that was really supportive. And somebody shared that it's just so good with it's so helpful for immune support, that even when they don't feel like thieves is helping cut things very well, that they'll reach for that oregano. And some people shared the tremendous value of when they were kind of getting sick over and over again and had gone and gotten prescriptions and none of them had been working or helping or alleviating the issue, that they were able to they took capsules of oregano at a consistent pace in a consistent way, and really saw relief for some of the things that other stuff wasn't able to really effectively support their body with. So just think about it in terms of we're just really supportive of the immune system, and just a really great asset to us to be able to have on hand. One other piece that people speak of is, like skin tags or warts or things like that. just even putting a little bit diluted on those spots consistently, or even sometimes the stuff that little bumps that kids get, which I'm not going to name, but that there was great help in using a diluted oregano to see real headway when doctors had basically been like, hey, there's nothing else you can do for this. Like, you're just going to have to kind of like live with it, let it run its course, and that's it. One person shared about their deep congestion, real high congestion. And remember what I just said about high in phenols and the membranes and things like this. So this isn't for everyone. She said her chiropractor's wife had recommended doing, and she was pretty miserable and said it wasn't for the weak of heart. And she put a drop of oregano, or had her wash her hands and put a drop of oregano in her hands, and then told her to lick it off and let the tongue touch the roof of her mouth. And that she was just like instantly it felt alleviated. And not like it wasn't, it just, her misery was helped, and floodgates were open, and it was really beneficial to her, but it was really hot. And so she kind of recommended, hey, if you're going to do this again, you probably want to dilute. And especially if you're somebody who's sensitive, and this is what I'm going to keep coming back to when you think about oregano, dilute. The emotion associated with oregano, fear of completion. The other side is development, and the way out is I am conscientious. Another one, this was really interesting to me. One of the emotions associated with oregano is toxicity, and that can be chemical, electromagnetic, or emotional toxicity, which sounds pretty broad categories. The other side of it is transformation, and the way out is into the void. So if you're experiencing toxicity on whatever level of any way, oregano is your go-to for getting into the void and out of that, and transforming out of that. The last emotion associated with it was vulnerable. And the other side is whole. Like if you're feeling vulnerable, the other side of being vulnerable is being whole. And the way out that was listed in our blue book was, I am one with all that is. So you can do what you will or what you want with that, but that is oregano. Next up is Aromaease. This is a blend specifically formulated by Gary Young. It's got spearmint essential oil, ginger, cardamom, and fennel. And it's really, really supportive of the gastrointestinal system. It brings comfort and has a fresh minty flavor. This is one that it's not a vitality oil, but it is one that is generally regarded as safe for, it's what we call a grass oil, generally regarded as safe. Now, my essential oil desk reference doesn't actually have Aromaease in it. So this is obviously one of the newer ones, but this is one I have on hand. And I think about this one as an anti-nausea. Like if you're feeling really sick, or just have the overarching sense of nausea, that this is one that you want to reach for and grab, because sometimes DiGize can be a little bit funky for that. And so this is a really great way to think about nausea specifically. And the peppermint in it will help ease the muscles and calm the muscles. And so it just really works, calms and cools and soothes, and is a good one to have in hand. You want to have it, I think you want to have it in addition to DiGize. DiGize is its own thing, but Aromaease helps with that nausea. And in fact, when I looked up some details on this, I found a woman sharing a testimonial about when she went to the convention in 2014, the Young Living Convention. She was like really racked with a case of Crohn's, and she was just feeling really sick and couldn't really get relief, and feeling really nauseous. And she saw in her workshop a class called At Ease, Stomach Comfort with Essential Oils. And she was just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to that workshop no matter what. And she said that she was excited when Dr. Tyler Call, who was an MD, and Mark Schroeder, who was the company's vice president of science at the time, explained how they had tested in a major hospital for a year a new blend of essential oils on patients with the worst case of nausea and vomiting. And the doctor shared that when he couldn't get other meds to work to control he would break out these aromatherapy blends, and it worked pretty consistently for his patients. So people shared that one way to think about how they use it is to put their finger over just on the top of the bottle, and then so like kind of less than a full drop. And then they said they put it on their fingertip and touched their tongue and put as little as necessary in their mouth, and then put what remained kind of over their nostrils, and then maybe some on their stomach or wherever they were feeling the digestion was really needed. And that they felt like they noticed a difference within 5 or 10 minutes. Another person shared like putting it in your hands and taking deep breaths. So it's like the peppermint and the spearmint combination are so soothing in these moments of nausea. And helping us kind of get out of that cycle of nausea. In fact, they have those Aromaease nose rings that are clear. So if you're somebody who's prone to motion sickness or something like that, you might look into wanting to get those Aromaease clear things that you could put in and kind of constantly be breathing it in. And or if you have like a really stinky job, or you have something you're experiencing something like where you have constant nausea or something, this might be something that could really help and offer some relief. So I love Aromaease, and I love it in addition to DiGize, which is our next topic. DiGize is specifically formulated for digestive support, as if its name did not give that away. It's got tarragon, it's got ginger, it's got peppermint, it's got juniper, fennel, anise, patchouli, lemongrass. These are all oils that are individually really supportive of the digestive system. And this is where I think it's a little bit harsher. I mean, it's a little bit funkier, earthier smell, that patchouli, some of those other oil, the juniper. It's going to smell very different than Aromaease. So DiGize is one that I'm just constantly having on hand to help with. If you're going too much, if you can't go enough, if your stomach's just something not sitting right, this is a really great one to have on hand, just to roll over your belly. I've gotten to the point where DiGize is something I'll put a drop under my tongue for the same effect. Like if I'm having that kind of bloating or gassy or something's just not right, I'll put a drop under my tongue. And actually, I feel like the taste of DiGize is better than the smell. So you can also make capsules of DiGize. You could put it on like a compress to put over your stomach or wherever you're feeling dis-ease. You could put it on your feet. If somebody was sick or having a hard time, you could put it on their feet and maybe cover with socks, because again, when you're having an upset stomach or you're actively sick, smells feel really heightened. And so you got to be careful about not doing overkill on that. But it's a really great, this is an oil that I'll probably have in my house until the day that I die. Like I'll be like 94 on my front porch with like DiGize in my purse, because it's just so effective, and it is so, it does exactly what it says it's going to do. So, all things digestion, DiGize is what you want to reach for. All things nausea, maybe Aromaease is what you want to have on hand too. The emotion associated with DiGize is disillusioned. The other side is substance. And the way out is I see the reality. So all that earthiness and grounding maybe helps give some clarity of thought. So that is our Select 30 series. I just want to say it's September 26th. Through the end of the month if you're watching this in the next day or two, through September 30th, there's a 15% off site-wide sale, no code needed. So go, maybe if there's something that you wanted to stock up on, or something even that maybe you can't add to your loyalty rewards because it's not available for that yet, or something like that, you could jump on and get this sale, especially if you're not earning that 20 or 25% because you're a consistent loyalty rewards user. If you just purchase here and there, this is a great opportunity to get some things. I also wanted to highlight, I got this and I'm really excited, so I just wanted to show it to you. This is the Simplified by Jacob and Kate. And this is Jacob Young and Kate, his wife, Gary's son. This is that Simplified. This is made specifically for diffusing. and it's coming out seasonally. So there was a summer one with the convention release, and now this is the fall one. And the scents are Cozy Cabin, Ginger Snap, and Orange Spiced Cider. And it comes in this really cute kit. And I mean, right now they're sold out on this, I think, and I'm not sure if there's a plan for a restock. And so this is something, if you're interested in this, it's again made specifically to be a blends to diffuse and seasonal. They come in these really pretty bottles and this really pretty stand, and the labels are really fun, and it's clear and white, so it looks really modern and nice. And so these are really awesome for those fall scents. If you're interested in understand, like if you're like, hey, I've seen these simplified line and this seems really interesting, but I haven't maybe either caught it in the right time when it dropped, it sold out too fast, or if you're just interested to see kind of like maybe what does it smell like, I'd love to send you a smelling sample of any of these that you might want. So again, the flavors are Cozy Cabin, Ginger Snap, and Orange Spice Cider. You know, Ginger Snap and Orange Spice Cider sound more obvious, but Cozy Cabin has kind of a earthier more tree-like scent. And for somebody like me who those aren't my preference, I would definitely lean towards the Orange Spice Cider than the tree. The Cozy Cabin is actually it's a really nice, really beautiful combination. It really reminds me, I mean, having just been out in all these national forests and woods and on all these hikes, this really reminds me of what it smells like to go on a hike outside of Mount Hood and through just giant trees and the ground and the water and everything running. So if you're interested and you want to maybe smell some of this or one of these, just leave me a comment, and I'd love to share a smelling sample or two with you, so that you can be ready when the winter collection releases. And I'm not sure, it'll obviously be sometime in the next few months, since this one was a end of August, September release. So you can assume that with every season, we're going to have 3 more. And I heard really great things about the summer ones. I just missed the boat on that one. I couldn't get to it before it sold out. So that's all I have to share with you. Keep an eye out. I'm going to get a newsletter out here for the month of October, share what classes we're going to do. And next week will predictably be us talking about the October promos, and then we'll kind of go from there. So I hope you've had a great month. Thanks for letting me take my vacation and sticking with me here on the other side of it, and I will talk with you soon.